Education Committee to order, and we will do determination of quorum.
Okay, Director Gray. Director Alvarez. Director Deere.
Here.
President Houston. Here. And Chair Williams.
Here. With that, we have a quorum. So it's all right. The agenda, is there any public comment?
We have no public comments here in the room. Let me ask anyone in the online platform if there's a public comment to recognize yourself by raising your hand. And I do not see any hands raised on the platform. And so it appears that we have no public comment at this time. Chair Williams.
Very much. Is there any presentations?
No presentations.
How about an action calendar? I saw nothing.
No action calendar today.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on to our information calendar, item number 6.
Okay, so for our information calendar, we have our Melissa Buendia, Public Information Specialist, here to provide a communications update. So Melissa, please.
Thank you, and good morning, President Houston, members of the committee and board. So I will be providing an overview of the communications efforts that have taken place over the month of January 2023. But before I begin, I did just want to acknowledge the board installation ceremony that took place on Monday evening. Hopefully everyone that was in attendance had a good time. I just wanted to share some stats. So we did have over just 190 guests in attendance that evening. More than 25 of them were elected officials from around our service area. And I just wanted to provide an update that the team continues to close out some of the post-event items, addressing some remaining invoices, things like that. And then I did want to just note that staff did forward along to the Office of the General Manager a preliminary photo album from the photographer, and we should expect the comprehensive deliverables in the community. So I will move along to the report, and I'll start on packet page 5. You'll see a summary of the announcements that were made in the past month. The press releases that were distributed the past month for the launch of the Water is Life Art Contest, the reorganization of the board titles for the year, and the new addition of Director Alvarez as one of 2 West Basin representatives of the Metropolitan Board. And then moving along to packet page 6, this slide summarizes the earned media coverage for the month. And attachment B, which begins on packet page 15, I believe, is the full media clips handout, which we can look through at your leisure. And then I will move along to social media highlights, starting on packet page 8 with our top posts from Facebook. So the posts included the launch of the art contest and the Green Barrel volunteer check presentation to the Redondo Union High School staff and students that took place on the January 23rd regular board. Moving along to the next slide, for Instagram, our top posts included sharing a DWR's announcement regarding the increased state water project allocation, as well as a reaction post to the much needed rain that was received in January, featuring, I believe that's the full project. And then moving along to page 10, for Twitter, our most popular posts featured the newly installed Metropolitan Chair, Adan Ortega, as well as President Houston in that photo. And then on packet page 11, our LinkedIn posts that we're mentioning here are the DEIA workshop that the board held on January 20th, as well again as the installation of Metropolitan's chair. And then I'll move along to packet page 13, onto our planning items. I did want to mention that during the January 23rd regular board meeting, There was an action item directed to staff to provide a messaging update surrounding grass replacement given the recent rains and supply allocation announcements. Unfortunately, local, regional, and state agencies and the media who have been covering the drought have been consistent in their messaging, which is that we do continue to be in the drought. But with that said, West Basin does continue to emphasize the variety of resources available to our service area residents, businesses, public agencies, including conservations like our variety of grass replacement programs as a direct pathway towards increased water efficiency in outdoor. We also maintain a number of our programs that provide free devices and installation in some cases, rain barrels, things like that, as well as continuing our student age education programs to help foster the next generation of water stewards, and our newly launched general public education programs, our Water Lab, which we'll talk about in a later item, as a resource for residents, businesses, and organizations to receive updates directly from West Basin. So as we plan to transition into the spring and summer months, we do plan to continue to emphasize our conservation programs, especially grass replacement. And there's a number of opportunities that are upcoming that include our annual ad and outreach campaign, which typically takes place during Earth Month in April and will be addressed in more detail in agenda item 60 in terms of campaign direction and item 60 in terms of communication, community outreach components. We also did recently submit grant applications for proposed funding that was assigned specifically to grass replacement and conservation devices. And in the coming months, we will be relaunching our priority community focused grass replacement program. So Grass Replacement Plus, and more to come on that. So with all of that said, I would like to transition it over to Amy to provide an overview of our bigger picture drought messaging efforts before I transition and close out the rest of it.
Directors.
Good morning.
I just wanted to follow up. So Melissa captured, all that we're continuing to do and address the last committee's request to talk about what is, our messages about grass replacement. And it's the same message. We're continuing to push, we're continuing to fund, we're continuing to encourage people to replace their grass because it's a California way of life. It's a lifestyle change, as you well know. As it relates to the drought overall, I just wanted to take a moment to address kind of how that ties in, right? So, the water supply conditions, the climate conditions may be changing, but our message is still the same. We still want people to, conserve, waste less, use our programs, change their habits. And we see that there is messaging, despite media headlines in terms of atmospheric rivers and generational snowpack and, dead pool on the Colorado River. I mean, the bottom line answers in our messages are still the same. And so, and we see that reflected in West Basin's messaging, California Department of Water Resources and Save Our Water campaign, Metropolitan Water District, as well as in the media. So even if they do have catchy, provocative headlines, what they go on to say is still all of our same messaging about what a dire situation we're in, even if there is some alleviation, right? And so I know we covered that as part of the discussion yesterday at the February 8th Metropolitan Caucus. But again, just to reiterate that from the West Basin end, we continue to keep the messaging, we continue to collaborate with our partners, particularly Metropolitan. And so I know that was also mentioned that there's a PIO meeting, so the Public Information Officers meeting next week, where we'll hear from their media services staff and get the latest from them. And then we'll coordinate internally and communicate with our stakeholders accordingly. So that's an active conversation, and always finding that right balance of really encouraging people, showcasing our wins, but also, balancing that out with that we still have work to do and we need to keep it up. And then, as things may need to be tweaked, we look at our talking points, our PowerPoint presentations that we provide to staff and the board. We revisit our website recently. I think we're due to revise, and then of course our social media, and as you saw in Melissa's report, we do provide drought updates. We share what is coming out of the agencies, and again, our message is always we're doing that's good news, but there's still reservoirs to fill. There's still record lows, and we rely on imported water. So with that, I'm sure this will be a continual dialogue, but I just wanted to segue from the grass replacement request to broader drought messaging.
Well, concerning the grass replacement messaging. Last week, I was listening to the radio. I think it was 1070 AM or FM. And they had a huge announcement on what a great job that LADWP is doing with grass replacement. I mean, it was like, it's the first headline. And no mention of anyone else, no mention of what Metropolitan has been doing. No mention of what West Basin has been doing. Of course, we're not an LA's area, and we don't have a radio. We don't have our own radio station, do we? In the South Bay, do we have a radio station? El Segundo doesn't have a radio station. Anyone following that kind of stuff to see? Because we're kind of, people believe what they hear about DWP on the radio, and they care more about them, of course, because most of them pay their water bill to LADWP, and they don't hear about us. I mean, we don't have that kind of power out there.
Well,
So
I can't speculate on kind of, I didn't hear the piece and I'm not familiar with how it came about. But, I can look into it, kind of how they did that, because sometimes it is a matter of media relations and reaching out and having those statistics and pushing it. And obviously it's a huge city. Water, it could have been a paid opportunity. It could have been earned. So I can look into that, again, if it's paid, then there's a reason.
well, that's why I'm bringing it up to you, to staff, to let you know that kind of thing is going on out
Yes,
there.
it is.
And I say, well, what about us? We've been doing this for a long time. This is not the first time that we've been involved in grass replacement. So I'm just saying that I hope, I guess I'm saying, is that we are in step with what's happening out there.
Yeah, I'll make a mention since you brought it up, because I did see something lately in one of the newsletters I get, and I think it was Larchmont Buzz, one of those, and it talked all about, of course, Los Angeles DWP, take out grass, and it was kind of doing all the things we were talking about it. So again, I don't know, Amy, if it was paid or not. I think it was a real article, but it basically was talking about programs. I think it had some photos, of some before and afters, but whatever's happening. So I think LADWP is really hitting it hard being out there. And so, and I know Metropolitan, and, is the sort of lead agency, and we can utilize what they're going to do as the sort of umbrella, but yet we do have to push it. And so hence, down the road, when we get to the next report, when there's how many folks have been applying. I know it gets New Year and holidays and rainy, but now that it's getting nice again, and we don't know what is going to, what the water year is going to have at the end. We're still in the same boat. We just got to keep pushing. So all that being said, thank you, Amy. I think that as you look at however you revamp what you're going to be putting out there, that's very important right now. So, but I agree with Chair Williams.
Yeah, I think when we hear what the guys with the big bucks are doing, then we should follow up right away with what we are doing. Because people begin to, well, what does West Basin do? I didn't hear anything about West Basin. What are they doing? So please, and that's all.
And one last comment. I mean, I know you're going to do this, but obviously once you've got the plan together and strategy, I mean, you're going to reach out to all the cities, and then some of them have a PIO or some don't, but.
Regarding just the evolving conditions.
Well, yeah, or remind them of the program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think
To help
this
them
will
push it out.
dovetail with item 6 see, just in terms of advertisement or whatever campaign we choose for outreach. But yes, as part of our drought actions, that is something that we regularly have the water sufficiency group. I do use our communications professionals amongst our 17 cities and the, retailers to share any news. Of course, any action that the board may take or as things evolve with Metropolitan, we'll make sure to announce. So I think that, ongoing stakeholder relations as it relates to our retailers and our cities is, and then of course, when we're out in the field, when you guys are giving your speakers bureau, remarks and all of your activities out there as well, kind of spreading the word that way too. So yeah, we will keep up, we're looking at, as we transition into the spring, how do we, just revisit what are we doing, what are we doing, perhaps we have a new focus area. And so we can share, kind of if any major directional changes are gonna take place, we'll let you know. Otherwise, I do just think it's continual drumbeat of outreach and communications.
One last thing, because when I was on we were on the Met Caucus yesterday, and Adele Hodge-Khalil mentioned there was some sort of press conference or something that Metropolitan did, I guess, yesterday about lawns or something, or he was in the north part of LA County, I believe. I didn't know anything about it till he mentioned it. I think I saw a little social media on their stuff, but I didn't have any time yesterday to pay attention. But, can you all send us information as to what that was about? Because it sounds like Metropolitan was out already talking about this yesterday in some capacity, but we've not been told. We don't know what they were doing, except it was mentioned yesterday at that meeting, so.
Yeah, I'll look and see what media coverage is. Usually the PIO, the External Affairs Group will send, updates, whether it's statements or declarations coming out of the agency, but I did not see anything from them yesterday. And so I'll look into what press coverage that they received.
Yeah, or even if they had an announcement, yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I didn't see it through my
Okay.
network, but I'll look at it.
All right. Okay, thank you. And keep going on.
So thank you, Amy. And I will move along to close out with the last slide here on packet page 14, which is just an overview of some of the upcoming communication opportunities. I did just want to pull a couple of highlights from this list. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, this week we did officially launch our Water Lab program. So all of our classes, chats, and tour dates have been updated with our first public tour taking place on February 18th. So those are all on our calendar on our website. And then as mentioned previously, staff is in the planning stages, the preliminary planning stages of relaunching the Grass Replacement Plus program, which again is the priority community focused grass replacement program in the coming months. So that was my report and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, really, really quickly, a couple questions fast on this, because now you have on here an opportunity, but the Etsy little tasting station protocols, what exactly does that mean? Are we gonna announce some change? What was the
I'll let
reason as to why
I'll
this
let
is
Gerald
on?
Ramos Young,
Okay.
Unless you prefer to take it, Greg.
I would defer to Daryl. He is kind of our coordinator on reinstituting our tasting station at NC Little. And so we're making efforts there. I think you had a very keen interest in this very issue.
I'll just cut to the chase. I understand internally we're doing stuff, but we're not making some press announcement of protocols, right? This is just more internal. Okay.
Solely internal purposes.
Okay, got it. When it says upcoming opportunities, it could look like, oh, this is something we're gonna promote or something. Okay, so this is
Planning.
on your end,
There's
internal.
a slide that usually that
Yeah.
says planning.
Okay, good, gotcha. And then different, of course, or maybe sort of similar, Legislator of the Year awards, that's March and April. We do usually do some sort of announcement. I don't remember if it's before or after.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Got it. I just want to make sure we're clear. Yeah, we don't need to, the tasting station has already been its own issue, and we don't need to bring more attention to that than necessary. Obviously, internal planning. Thank you, Derek. Go ahead.
Thank you. Next.
We're going to item 6B now.
If you want to continue with this one, yes.
All right, so with that, we have Gus Mesa, our Senior Water Policy and Resource Analyst, give you a report on our conservation program. So Gus, please.
And good morning, Chairman Williams and directors. I will be utilizing the PowerPoint that we'll have up on the screen here shortly. I am on packet page 43. And I'll be using this PowerPoint for several presentation updates here. My first presentation is going to be on the final results of the Malibu Smart Topanga Smart program. As I mentioned in the past, this project has seen several unforeseen challenges, but we have learned a great deal, and I'm going to be talking about some of the challenges and results with this project. This was a joint partnership with the City of Malibu and LA County Waterworks District 29. We received a $1 million grant from DWR back in 2017 to implement this project over the last 5 years. Next slide, please. We targeted the program to the highest water users in Malibu and Topanga with the goal of conserving 87.4 acre feet per year. The challenge was that most homeowners in Malibu and Topanga, they're not very interested in removing their lush gardens and lawns, but there are many opportunities to conserve water targeting their inefficient landscape systems, such as their sprinkler controllers and sprinkler heads, so we can replace those and conserve water there. Next slide, please. In developing this program, we held a focus group with homeowners and found that they were not very interested in changing their indoor devices. However, they were interested in conserving water outdoors using smart irrigation devices. So we developed the program to have an outdoor focus with an emphasis on providing smart irrigation equipment. Next slide, please. The overall messaging focused on the new water saving technologies and ways customers could make their homes and yards water smart. We targeted the top 500 water users, and we classified them based on their motivations, whether they were an early adopter, hero, which is a socially responsible environmentalist, or an investor, someone who's more concerned with their landscape and the investment and the value of their landscape. Next slide, please. Between July 2018 and November 2018, our consultant conducted 88 site consultations and 24 projects were in progress. We were gaining momentum, and we also had a trusted source helping us. The prior Malibu City Councilwoman Laura Rosenthal was part of the program, and she was contacting residents and all her contacts in Malibu. So that really helped the program. And as you can see here, we have a couple of photos of some of the participants in the program. Slide, please. In early November 2018, project operations came to a halt when the Woolsey fire reached Malibu, causing a mandatory evacuation. This time, the team ceased all outreach activities out of consideration for the community. Operations did not resume until spring of 2019. Next slide, please. In March 2019, the project was relaunched utilizing the theme of rebuild, save water, protect your home. The relaunch included a series of fire-escaping workshops to help teach residents about defensible space and appropriate plants. We also increased the target group from 500 to 1,000 homes. Dozens of projects were implemented, and we developed 4 case studies with homeowners who participated. Next slide. Then in March of 2020, COVID-19 hit, which again shut down the program. DWR did extend all the IRWAMP agreements due to COVID, so we had extra time to complete this project. Next slide, please. In summer of 2020, the project was relaunched once again. An extensive email and social media campaign was launched to promote Project to all Malibu and Topanga residents. The campaign focused on outdoor living. We targeted 3 categories believed to be most interest to customers: smart sprinkler controllers, turf replacement, and general rebates. We highlighted the increased smart controller and turf replacement rebate amounts. I was $5 per square foot, which is a pretty high rebate amount. We provided more visual ads and videos, and we promoted the case studies. And there's more information in your packet in the final report about these 4 case studies. We had 4 families participate and provide great comments about their experience with the program on saving water and saving money. Next slide, please. Majority of the annual water savings is attributed to LA County's smart water meters. They replaced a lot of the meters with these smart meters in Malibu. So they're going to be seeing water savings from that. And the second highest water savings was achieved, as you can see here from the table. The second one, the high efficiency sprinkler nozzles, and then smart irrigation controllers. So those are the top devices that, if you look at the annual water savings, conserve quite a bit. And then down the table a bit, you will see turf replacement kind of in the middle of the table there. So we did get some residents to remove their grass through this project. A total of 65,739 square feet of grass was also removed through this project. So that's great news. Next slide, please. Project partners used various tactics to reach the residents. I won't read them all, but you can see here, we did see some success with all the tactics and learned that the project case studies were very effective. The communities like to see their neighbors participating in making changes to their landscapes. Many neighbors don't want to be the first, but when they see their neighbors participating, they also want to participate to help conserve water. So we learned that from the case studies. Really promoting those through the e-blast really helped the program. And also having the councilwoman assisting as a community leader. You know, on the list here, you can also see that we did city council announcements over the years. We did have our director, Scott Houston, President Houston, presenting there at city council meetings over the years to bring more awareness to this program. So that helped as well. Next slide, please. The great news is that we achieved the water saving goal, even with all the challenges from the Woolsey fire and with COVID and the high-end community. We did achieve the goal, exceeded it actually. The goal, as you can see there, was 87.4 acre feet per year, and we reached 96.62 acre feet per year. Next slide. I briefly mentioned the 4 case studies earlier, and here you can see a few of the comments made by the homeowners. Some said we didn't have to do anything. They did the paperwork, worth the investment. I can now better manage my water use. The Malibu smart folks did the assessment, installed the new nozzles, did the paperwork. Program is easy. There's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to take advantage of this opportunity and the $5 per square foot rebate. So as you can see, we had some really good comments here from the testimonials and the interviews. Let's see. Next slide, please. Project observations. These findings are all very important. They're going to help us with our future programs in Malibu and Topanga. To attract participation, it is necessary to offer measures that customers value. Customers do require some hand-holding and support services throughout the process. Paying landscape contractors directly, that can help eliminate barriers and also engage the landscape industry to act as a project partner in promoting the program. And the direct installation project design was well received. Of course, most people love when someone could come in and install devices for them. Who doesn't like that? Next slide, please. And lastly, we did brainstorm some possible ways on how we can inform the industry and others about the success of this program. And here's a list, and I'll just read a couple possible ideas. Include we could present this final report at a future city of Malibu on a city council meeting, the Topanga Town Council. We could submit it also. We're planning on submitting it to the Water Smart Innovations Conference. This is an annual water conservation conference. Plan on submitting the report to Metropolitan Water District and other industry groups as well. And so just wanted to brainstorm a little bit more here if you had ideas, directors as well, how we can let the community, let the industry and other agencies know what we're doing here and about this project, the success of this project. Even though it had challenges, we showed that we could still reach the goal of the project. That is the end of this presentation. I can take any questions or comments at this time.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Number one, excellent report and results. And yes, so many challenges. I mean, we've been through this for, was it 5 years, basically? I mean, it is incredible the starts and stops of having this program. A couple things really quick. One is, who was our consultant on this? What was the name of the?
R.W. Jones.
Oh, that's right, R.W. Jones. Yeah,
Maureen Urbesnik
Yes.
was the project manager.
Maureen, yes. They were excellent. They did a great job. Every interaction that we had or I had with them, they were great. So please, I think you should make sure you tell them that. Let's see, I think also, well, a couple things really, really quick up here. It's hard to take like this and do a road show at the council meetings or something. I totally get it, but I do think, and I guess it's not required, but I do think we do submit some sort of report or send the final results to the city council and the different partners, right? We have a certain obligation to send it where the grant funding came from, true?
Yes, the city of Malibu was the lead proponent for the project, and we also have the final report.
Okay, well, I would say, obviously, we've got to submit that. Now, granted, if the staff is interested in, if they need to do a presentation to their council or anything like that, can you let me know? Because maybe that's something where, we would have our staff present to assist, or I would come up too, but just again, to showcase what we've done. I think the bigger picture is, I like your idea of submitting it to this Water Smart Innovations Conference. That's excellent. I was thinking maybe Aqua as well. I mean, you guys should probably submit to Aqua, possibility for recognition, just because not just the results, it's all of the issues you experienced along the way, but it still came out in a positive way to meet the goals. I think with Metropolitan, not just submit the report, but maybe you could work with them, especially right now with everything you're talking about. Talk to Metropolitan about the lessons learned, because I saw you had some good key lessons learned, which of course, a lot of that is the hand holding and certain things. So as Metropolitan is trying to continue to rescope its grass replacement work and other ways, I mean, we know this, that we really have to assist the residents as much as possible. Good customer service to get them to buy into these programs. So I think that's a good idea, Gus. I do think that we should include something about this when we do our ledge trips, EJ. So it needs to be a bullet point or talking point when we talk to our folks in Sacramento and in Washington, DC, especially the ones that represent that area. To show, hey, look at this program we did and how it came together. And because it helps foster some discussion of what might come down the pipe in the future. But not, let's not limit it just to the ones that represent that area, because I think that some of the other ones would be very interesting. One or two more points. Firescaping, those workshops, I know it's kind of a different topic, but those were awesome.
Yeah.
I love those firescaping workshops. And even when they were done virtual, I hope we will keep doing those. And that's something that's great for Palos Verdes,
I was gonna
the
say.
hill. I mean, those workshops and that, and I always forget his name. What is his name? The guy that,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
he is great. Those videos are great. What I would love to see us do is if we could, hopefully, we can do another round of those as we get into the summer months, whether it both in the Malibu Topanga area and up on the hill. And whether it's an in-person or it's a hybrid or something, I don't, let's just keep that on the burner. Those were excellent. Go ahead.
Thank you. As part of the new joint project with Las Virgenes and Allen County, that will be launching summer, fall of this year. We did include waterscaping classes in there. So we'll have funding from the grant and WD to put on some classes. We'll also look at the Palos Verdes.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I think we definitely
It
should.
was a relevant topic.
Totally. I mean, especially now that all this, everything is gonna be growing and then it's gonna dry out
Right.
and it's not gonna be a pretty picture. Okay, last but not least on my thoughts for you all and, what I would love us to see, and this is just an idea, is, this was like a pilot program, if I recall, and it was a grant. But now that we've experienced it and we've done it, let's just think about ways we could go for another type of grant and maybe it's extended into other areas, but we need to really, yes, showcase that we were successful with this. And I would love to see it try and partner up with somebody or some organizations, if that's what it is, but to get some more funding that we could try some more in our key communities, right? You guys already had me on this, I don't know.
We just completed submitting a grant, urban community grant for all of West Basin, and it includes a lot of these measures, installing controllers, grass replacement for the whole service area. So we'll know in the next few months, working with Tammy and Matt here, we'll know if we were successful with that grant. So we did apply for additional funding, over $3 million actually.
Good, all right. Thank you. I have no other questions and I want to say thank you for the report and we can obviously talk offline about other issues, but I think we gave you some ideas and thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else out there? Director Ray? Director Deere?
Years out here, yes. Yeah, I'm out here. I'm listening. Very good.
Anyone else? I just want to add, thank you very much, Director Houston, for your work there. Again, remember that to staff, that the topo and topography on the hill is very similar to that of Topanga and Malibu. So just like what we did with the Firescape thing, we brought that to the peninsula. What we're doing with the grass replacement and our success there in Malibu and Topanga should be brought to the peninsula as well. Okay, so I'd like to see you look at that. The other thing is that I don't know if you've been talking much about how the have a water bill and they pay the water company, Cal Water in Golden State, that they have some pretty nice, helpful, money-saving programs to help you as you save water. I take advantage of it just to see what I can get from them and go and show my constituents what they can get from their purveyor. And Cal Water has a lot of nice stuff that they give away. They have some water nozzles that are controlled water nozzles. Man, those things look very nice. I got my pack and they get the shower head You can get a number of them and all the devices, very nice. And the other thing that's really nice is that a smart controller. I don't know if you guys have seen those. They are, I put in for mine and guy came out, took my old controller, which I was kind of didn't want to get rid of, but like wanted, so why do you have to take my controllers? Well, this is all part of the program, so you know how they push you away, you know. But I'm telling you, smart controller, very smarter than I'll ever be, you know. So I just let it control. When it rains, it doesn't come on. It's just skip, you know, and then it tells you when the next rain is going to come, so that you can get stuff out of the way, just in case you thought, well, no rain. But yeah, it's I think a Ratio is the name of the controller. Yeah, I mean, that thing is very, very smart. You got, it's in the,
Get an app for your phone.
right, right. As a matter of fact, the app is so smart too that my son can control my irrigation system. And he lives in Bellflower. But it's really, really nice. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's available to our customers and more so our customers, residents, our
Even businesses.
businesses, right. And more importantly, to our constituents. You know, I mean, a lot of free stuff out there, and it's all the good stuff that we talk about here that people don't take time to take a look at. But I think what we need to do is that we should be when every city, especially our cities, because cities have programs and they're always out in front of their people. They do a lot of outreach that we should be there. We should be at every community outreach where there's something going on, where information is being delivered to their people that has to do with water or should have to do with water. And because that gets the message out there quick. And if we can get them to believe in us and say, yeah, I'd like to do that, and tell their neighbors about how much money they are saving. That seems to be the big thing now, especially now with everything going up, that you can take advantage of this, get a free controller. I mean, gee, and there's nothing to hook up. You know, the guy comes out and puts in the controller and voila, it's like magic. It takes over. So anyway, good reports and
I have one last thought.
yes.
One last thought to outreach to, I think you all should at least talk to the COG
Oh,
about the
absolutely.
success with this program. I don't know, offhand, I don't know the committee structure and what have you over there. But I think that you should just somehow work with Jackie to make the membership of the COG aware that this is what happened and this was our experience, because yeah, these are two very far-flung locations in our service area, but I think that it fits right into South Bay and up on the hill. And just in general, I mean, it showcases like public agencies, yes, we're going for dollars from the state and partnering up, and then we're showing success. Because more like Director Williams said, we have to showcase everything we've done, but also sparks new ideas, especially from the council people, the mayors. They see that and they're like, oh, wow, that's great. Let me see how can we potentially do something in our community. So I would advise reach out to them and have a conversation. Maybe some next steps. Okay.
Very good.
My next update is a recap of our Rain Barrel program. This will be a shorter presentation. It's on back at page 59.
Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, I was able to.
I'm going to briefly cover some of the highlights that you see here. For this last year, we began our events a little sooner in the fall, from September through November. We wanted to provide the rain barrels before the rainy season. So this worked out great since the rain started in December through January. And we've seen a little bit of rain this month as well. So the timing was perfect. A lot of happy residents out there with full rain barrels, full of rainwater. We held 5 events with 300 rain barrels per event. We held the events at 4 high schools and at our Edward C. Little water recycling facility. Next slide, please. We show the results and photos from the 5 events. Our first event took place back in September at Palos Verdes High School. That was a great event. Attend and speak to the students there. You can see some of the photos. You can see them speaking to the students about water. So that was a great event.
By the way, all girls. All girls. The guys, I don't know where they were. They didn't show up. I think they were playing soccer,
Saturday
the
morning.
field over. But the
Environmental science.
environmental scientist class of all girls. And they didn't shy away from picking up barrels and moving them in vehicles and rearranging them and stuff. You know, they were there. They were really totally committed to helping with the program. And we really appreciate that.
We've scheduled the check presentation, Director Williams, for Monday.
Monday.
Yes.
I will definitely be there.
High school there, present them with the check. So yes, thank you. Next slide, please. In November, we held an event at Morningside High School in the city of Inglewood. We had great help from the Omega Dance Club and from Playa Vista Jobs. And again, thank you, Greg, for attending that
Yeah.
event. Staff is currently working on coordinating the check presentation there with Director Greg. Next slide, please. Photos from Division 3, another very successful event at Redondo Union High School. There's a couple of photos. You can see there's a couple of rain barrels not convertible there.
Convertible BMW.
You see all kinds of things.
Save money, make that payment.
Next slide, please. And, for Division 4, we held a successful event. Last Tuesday, President Houston conducted a check presentation and presented grades of green with a check for their assistance. I want to thank Janelle from our Public Information Department for being there to take photos of the group. That went very well. Also, Director for providing a little tour of the inside of the plant and inviting them back for a full tour. I think they were very interested in that. Next slide, please. And for Division 5, we held this event at Lawndale High School. Photos there, it was around the Halloween timeframe. Kind of explains that one photo there. But next slide, please. We had one event where we distributed 250 rain barrels. We learned that the prior year's interest list was very helpful, especially for the first event. We only had 218 registrants for the first event, but we gave away all 300 rain barrels because of the interest list. So that event there at PV had a lower no-show rate, but then we quickly realized that the actual, as you can see here, the actual no-show rate is more like 40%. So that's the true no-show rate. So we learned that in order to distribute 300 rain barrels, we need to have over 300 registrants because of the 40% no-show rate. And so that was kind of a lesson learned there. But overall, we did distribute all 1,500 rain barrels, as you can see there. Next slide, please. Registration process, we asked residents to identify how they heard about the event. And from this pie chart, most people heard about the events through social media, followed by email and the website. More and more people are using social media to get their information. We also coordinated with our partner, the South Bay Environmental Services Center, to send out e-blasts to their large database of residents. And they also provide our flyers at events that they table for us out in the community. Next slide, please. My last slide for this presentation. And we summarized the lessons learned from this year's program. So just to mention a few, we learned that conducting the events earlier in the fall worked very well. This would just require staff to begin working with the volunteer groups, especially the high schools, in the spring before the schools let out for the summer, so we can get some of that planning done here coming up shortly. And for the marketing, we plan on having a baseline tier 1 marketing where we use social media, email, and websites. And if needed, we'll implement tier 2 where we'll have direct marketing with door hangers and postcards if needed. But there is quite a bit of cost savings if we could stick to the social media and the websites, which we did for these events, and that worked out great.
On the social media, also the folks who came heard about it word of mouth, word of mouth from people off of social media. So that social media is really powerful, more powerful than I thought. I always thought it wasn't that big a deal, but it is very powerful.
So we're also improving the communication with the residents. We're working closely with the South Bay COG to keep the residents informed through the registration process and reminding them about the event, of course. Mentioned, we learned that we need to have over 300 registrations. We're currently still getting phone calls from residents about the rain barrels, and we're directing them to the current interest list, which is at 241 residents currently on the interest list for the next programs. We'll have a high demand for rain barrels. That is the end of my presentation here for this presentation. Take any questions now or comments?
Right, thanks to the rains that we had this rainy season, the rain barrel program is more popular. And people tell their friends about getting 2 rain barrels. You can get 2. And they come in sports cars to pick them up. That's amazing. But I think that we should be at every city that's sponsoring an Earth Day celebration this year. We need to guerrilla our way into their event so that we can be there and promote our programs. And I think on Peninsula, there are four incorporated cities. We should be at their events, large or small. We should just elbow our way in. We were talking about guerrilla marketing. That's what we have to do. They got to hear us more than once.
Well, and on that note, with the great things, we have the COG that can help us in most of those cities. So they could be, they're probably going to get some of those and we'll have our stuff anyway. But then on top of it, we can have our staff there if COG not, right? So there's ways to
You
do
were
it.
there last year.
And that also could be a good thing. If nothing else, we say we could sign them up to the next year's list, program passed, but
Mhm.
here's how you get on the wait list or whatever, Really, I'll be quick too, because I First of all, it's kind of ironic that most of the nonprofits or the ones that we worked with this year were all young people, which
Yeah.
it just turned out that way. I mean, I didn't know you all were dealing with the high schools and then my grades agreeing, but it turned out really, really awesome because it was majority of young people, students who were helping us. And so I just think that was awesome for what it's worth with the directors. Get their help and we get their buy. And then, so here's a couple things. And I do agree with you. I see you require the COG staff to take photos at the event because you're right. A lot of times we get there, we're just really busy and everything, but we need to do better on documenting because I know I had to usually say, hey, take some pictures, everybody, so we get it done, right? Because we need to have pictures to showcase what we're doing. So whether it's the COG or our own staff, we need to make sure that happens. You know, when people ask me, what is West Basin? I mean, one of the things I always say is, well, we're the ones that give away the rain barrels. And like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, there's two things we're mostly known for in this community. And that is we give away the rain barrels and we're the ones that talk about taking out grass. So when people don't understand what the water district is or they don't fit the bill, Director Deere, I think we keep hearing you. When people keep, you know, when they, you know, they don't get the bill from us. But the way I always explain, oh, we're the ones that give away the rain barrels every year, and that almost instantly they know who that is us. So the rain barrel program is one of our, you know, claims to not, I don't want to say notoriety in the region. It's a very popular program. So I think that's when Director Williams is talking about how we promote ourselves and talk about it, that's what people know us for. Obviously, there's the policy issues, the bigger things we're doing behind the scenes, but on the very community outreach level, that's what we do. So I'd like you to think about that when we're doing this. And last but not least, so I know we're starting our budget discussions. I think that you know, we got to figure out, is it, you know, 300 rain barrels again per district we're going to do, or is it 350? I don't know the magic number, and I don't know how much we've got, you know, allotted yet to do this, but I think you guys have figured out the number that seems to work for giving them away, not having extras. And last but not least, I do love that we did it early this year and it worked out well because, you know, folks got them before the rainy season hit. And I've had multiple people too who come up, oh my gosh, the rain barrels, they're filled and such. So I think that's a great strategy. We get it done before the holidays as much as possible. Or well, we did it kind of in between holidays in some cases. It was a good job. We did good.
For the planning, guys.
Yeah.
Great. Director Deere. Director Gray and Alvarez are not here.
Not here. No.
There's,
Go ahead.
I'm not sure if we're finished yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So my colleague here, Jennifer Vasquez, is not here today. She's at a training. So I'm going to provide a couple of updates on her programs, on our programs here. So I am on packet page 69 here. Let's see. Okay. I do want to mention that before I talk about the Grass Replacement Plus program, I just want to talk about the Grass Replacement Rebate Program in general. As of January 26th, a total of 12 new applications were processed for the residential grass replacement rebate on the SoCal Water Smart website for the month of January. And to date, a total of 153,434 residential square feet were processed in rebate applications. So our team is excited to continue promoting the program in this new year. And we also hosted our first West Basin chat on February 1st at 6 p.m. Yes.
If I could just touch on this because earlier during the conservation update and we were talking about outreach, the directors brought up LADWP, and I had a chance to kind of do a little research over here. And really one of the reasons why it's become a bit of a news story is because of the press conference that Mayor Garcetti held, and obviously he attracts quite a bit of attention himself. But I wouldn't allow myself to let this opportunity to pass without actually noting that the statistic that Gus just gave of roughly 153,000 square feet in the West Basin service area, that's only our residential section. And if I was to compare it to LADWP, and I don't want to, but if I was to, I would say that we're actually doing really well because they've, in the same period or roughly the same period, they've done about 275,000, which is obviously more, but the LADWP service area
Much.
is far greater than the West Basin service area. And I bring this up because I really wanted to highlight this. We have the majority of the team here, but I know that Jennifer Vasquez, as Gus mentioned, is not here. Michael Calabria, Janelle, and Kyan's not here. But it's this collective team effort that has led to the success of a lot of our programs, as Director Houston was mentioning in relation to the Malibu Smart program. And so I want to assure you that the success of our programs and our ability to get to the 153,000 square feet is really credited to staff never turning down an opportunity to attend a community event. If we have a small but mighty team of roughly 50 people in-house, but utilizing the South Bay COG, we will rarely, if ever, turn down a community event, whether it's Earth Day or just a weekend event, evening event. And I always love to see, I love our service area, so I'm out and about, and I always see these things with tables and information being presented and handed out. And our programs would not be that successful if we didn't do that stuff. And as you said, the social media aspect and such. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We do appreciate the efforts of LADWP and of course Metropolitan Water District because it brings greater awareness. But the in-house effort to promote grass replacement is, I would say, second to none. And I think Gus will touch on this in just a few slides because not only have we done 153,000 residential, but nearly every single one of our cities have projects and are going through the design phase and removing grass. Because we're doing exactly as you've directed us to do. We meet with each of our cities one-on-one. We host our quarterly conservation updates where we ask them, hey, where can we look to remove that turf? Where can we look to rededicate some of your landscape or parts of your city to kind of utilize water efficient and drought tolerant landscape? And so the success of these programs obviously is in part due to the director's leadership and all of the outreach that you're doing and working within your community. And then, of course, the direction that you're giving staff. So congratulations all the way around, but that 153,000 is pretty significant.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
This fiscal year, or what was that?
153,000 is just beginning, I think it's July 1st of 2022. So yes, the
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Very good. Wow.
And that's a lot of conservation. And we'll talk a little bit about this in the budget cycle because you remove grass, right? You're going to reduce your sales. But we just we look at the fiscal year when it comes to water sales. But we're projecting to be at the lowest imported water sales we've ever achieved. And I know Director Williams, we attended the West Basin Water Association meeting earlier this week, and they said the groundwater pumping is actually decreasing the use of groundwater. So if imported water sales are going down and groundwater usage is going down, that means we are setting a new standard. So when they say conservation is a California way of life, it is clearly so in the West Basin service area.
Good.
Sorry, yes. Thank you, Jim. So we held a class, West Basin Chat. We hold these every few months for residents to help them with the rebate process for grass replacement. And we had 36 residents participating on February 1st, very successful. They were very engaged and had lots of great questions. We're currently on page, let's stay on the slide here. This is the Grass Replacement Plus program that I'm going to cover now. This program provides free custom landscape design, free drought tolerant trees in partnership with Tree People, and additional assistance in applying for the increased grass replacement rebate of $5 per square foot. This pilot program allotted 20 landscape design packages, which were all allocated back in December. Additional closeout information will be provided at a future meeting as the program elements close out. A new grant and funding from MWD's member agency administered or MAA program will allow for a new program cycle in 2023 with even more design packages to assist residents from our underrepresented areas. The following next slides include a brief overview of the program process. Next slide, please. The program provides free design consultations, landscape design edits, rebate application assistance, free delivery of a low water use tree, and assistance with completing the rebate process. So a lot of assistance to our residents here. Next slide. So this slide here are some examples of some larger sites that are in process right now for the design portion. Our consultant goes out to assist our residents. They look at their grass and they kind of evaluate the site. Next slide, please. And then they draft the design, as you can see here, for the homeowner. And then they work with the homeowner and they make edits to it and get input from the homeowner as well to make sure they're happy with the design. Next slide. And we assist the resident to apply for the grass replacement rebate through the SoCal Water Smart rebate program here. So there's a lot of assistance we provide. Next slide. Here's a photo of a completed site. This resident received $2,550 rebate. And as you can see here, the plants are a bit small, but they will grow.
Will grow.
And smaller plants, they cost less, and they actually have a higher success rate of being established compared to larger plants. Larger plants could go into shock and not like it there. So it's better to start off with smaller plants. Next slide, please. Here are photos of some sites that I mentioned that are in progress. Some of these are 5,000 square feet, larger sites, which will conserve more water. I'll go ahead and stop here to answer any questions you may have before I move on to our garden section. Basin staff began working with our landscape contractor, Swayzer Landscape, last November to document the state of all our existing ocean-friendly gardens that we've built over the years. The demonstration gardens were built from, can we go back one? The demonstration gardens were built between 2009 and 2017. The initial maintenance support was provided by West Basin landscape contractors during that time for the first 5 years. And now they're being managed by the individual cities and locations. A total of 6 ocean-friendly garden maintenance training workshops were hosted virtually in 2021 to provide additional resources to city staff to help them manage these gardens. West Basin staff worked with our current landscape contractor to document the gardens from November through December. The next 2 slides show the photos of each garden and call out the potential next steps. Next slide, please. So here we are showing some current photos of the gardens. On the left there, Cal State University Dominguez Hills. Photo of the Carson Community Center. Next slide. Here's the Culver City, Robert Frost Auditorium. Gardena Mamie Deer Library. Next slide. There's one at Hawthorne City Hall, Boston Beach Community Center, and you may notice with some of these, they need a little, they need some assistance. I could tell that they need mulch.
Yeah.
Just keep their dirt, they need mulch to help with evaporation and all that. Next slide. Of the Hermosa Beach Playhouse, the Inglewood City Hall Garden. Next slide. Here's a photo of the Malibu Bluffs Park. You can see those trees in the background. Those were actually very small many years ago. Tiny, and now they're.
Can I just say as far as I've always seen, Malibu does a really good job of maintaining that whole spot. I mean, it's right there, the showcase at that park, but they do a great job. So. But the Manhattan Beach one has always confused me. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I mean, at this point, it just looks like a bunch of vines up there.
A little slow. Originally, when that was built, there was some rock features and there were plants. I think one of the issues is maybe the maintenance being on a slope. Sure. Could be a little tough. But that's something that we can look at as well with the city.
Whenever I walk or ride by there, I'm like,
What is this? And then our sign is there.
yeah, the sign's there, but it looks
Yes.
like just everything else, but just an observation.
Next slide, please. Here's the garden at the Gardena, Raleigh Park, where I mentioned that there will be a hands-on, that's not yet, but there'll be, no, not yet. But there's going to be a class there and a hands-on workshop at the Gardena, Raleigh Park. There's a photo of the one in West Hollywood at the street median. Next slide. So as you can see from these photos, there are areas of opportunity to improve these gardens. Some gardens have missing plant material, sparse mulch coverage or no mulch coverage, and exposed to drip irrigation lines that should be covered with mulch. Next slide. Our next steps are to connect with the current landscaping staff to offer support and resources, such as information as to where they can find free mulch and other immediate solutions, and to engage residents through educational sessions, through our hands-on workshops. And at the December PI Committee, staff shared about a Speakers Bureau request from the City of Gardena Beautification Commission. West Basin staff met to understand their request and prepare a hands-on workshop event that will provide an opportunity for residents to learn about the drought-tolerant plants, maintenance, and create an opportunity to discuss the grass replacement rebate. Additionally, a hands-on portion at the Raleigh Park Moisture-Friendly Garden will provide residents the opportunity to put their knowledge into action after they've learned about the plants, the irrigation system. They'll come out to the garden and actually help with pruning and things like that. So that's coming up. That actually will be take place on March 18th at Raleigh Park from 9:30 to 11 a.m. That's my last update. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Director Deere. Questions? Director Houston.
No real questions. A good report. Good to see the photos, and obviously I understand at this point, really it's the other organization's responsibility to maintain these sites.
Okay, good.
Of course, is that we have the signage there, so it still reflects on us, at this point. So that's why it's nice when the owners of those properties maintain them better or properly. That's nice. So I appreciate everything you all are doing to assist. And then one last thing really fast, because Tammy and I obviously were over at Robert Frost Auditorium in the high school when we did our photo opportunity at the drinking fountain station there. And so we walked over and looked at it, and it looked okay. You could tell it needs a little TLC, but overall it looked, decent. But I would just say when you reach out to the school district regarding it. Maybe you could ask them, there is a student group on campus, I think, that assisted that project years ago. Maybe some of the kids would love to help, working with the staff of the school district to do some pruning or project or whatever. It just might be an idea. So that's a thought there. And I don't know if this is the opportunity to do this or not, because I don't know, is that the full report on everything, or are you guys gonna talk any more about taking out grass or the public agency program?
That's the full.
That's the full report, okay. Let me just say this really, really fast at this moment, Chair Williams, that so I was at ICA and I saw, of course, a lot of our electeds from the region, but I did talk to Mayor Albert Vera in Culver City and mentioned our grass replacement program, the rebate with public agencies, which he thought was wonderful. And so I'd like for staff to reach out to staff at Culver City, because they are really looking to finally do something with some of the grass around City Hall in Culver City. It's been a long time conversation that's been lingering, and he thought it'd be awesome to try and do something this year, especially while he's the mayor. But so if you all would please reach out to City of Culver City and let's see if we can start working on something with them, because they have grass on the side of the property in other areas that's, it's just ornamental.
Yeah.
That's that. And then the same thing I saw the 2 school board members in Culver City when I was with Tammy. And I mentioned the same thing to them because there's a lot of grass right there on the high school property. And I think they're getting a new sustainability person on staff or something like that. So the school board member is very interested. So again, these are great opportunities for our staff to reach out to their folks. And let's see if we can get some dialogue going and take advantage of these programs. So there's just 2 I saw them recently. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Question?
Director Williams? Director Williams?
Yes.
This is Don Deere. For the record, I've tried a couple of times to respond when you mentioned my name, but they muted me. I didn't mute myself. They muted me, so I couldn't respond. But now I'm back on. But I've heard every word, and I'm listening carefully. I haven't missed any of this meeting, and I'm going to sit through the whole thing. Okay?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question, staff. Concerning the golf course there in the county on Avalon off of the 405 freeway.
Victoria
Happening
Park?
there.
Which one is it?
One time they were our customer. Weren't they?
Victoria Park?
Victoria Park, yeah.
There's a recycled water pipeline that goes down there. My understanding, I thought the city was developing the property.
Find out, because people are asking me about it. Why aren't you using recycled water over there to green that place up? It used to be green. As a matter of fact, didn't we have a guy who worked for West Basin, was marketing water to that facility? Who was that? Remember him?
Joe Walters.
So Joe Walters, yeah. So just find out for me, would you please?
Will do.
Hey, what's next on the agenda?
All right, that brings us to information calendar item 6C. And we have our manager of communications, Amy Rocha, to discuss our 2023 annual advertising campaign.
So I'm here to just raise the subject of planning ahead for our annual advertising campaign each year around this time. It's a little bit out ahead of things. We planned for an annual ad campaign, and we have typically timed this to Earth Month in April. And this year, Earth Day is April 22nd. And so, our typical plan for advertisements have been print in our local community outlets. And we've done some digital advertising alongside those same outlets that we advertise in print. So our timing and theme has varied over the course of the years. I think several years back, we had also done advertisements that were more related to kind of new year, look back at accomplishments and look ahead at, priorities and goals for the district. But over the past few years, we've focused on Earth Month just because of the high visibility of sustainability issues, water, all of the community outreach events that are taking place, as well as the advertising deals and just more awareness of environmental issues. And we found that it was a good value to do that. And so staff is recommending some kind of, again, in addition to our Earth Month activities, which Daryl Ramos Young will cover in action or calendar item 6D about just to get start the preliminary discussion about the annual advertisement. If there's an appetite to do something different, if we want to keep with the status quo, if there's an opportunity to explore, just again, different pathways for raising awareness about our programs, our offerings, our value to our readers, our viewers, our constituents, our service area. So with that, I'll just open it up to the directors to kind of share any thoughts you may have before staff, spends time developing anything. We kind of want to, get that preliminary discussion that we were executing in with expectations. So with that, I'll conclude and open it up.
Director Houston.
Thank you. I have thought about this quite a bit, and I, number one, we're right where we need to be. It's February, and we want to be last minute in our thoughts, and I don't want staff to get out ahead of us, and have good direction. Now, I see in here that we have budgeted up to $50,000 for this campaign, which I don't know if that's just to do the print ads or what exactly that entails. But that's, go ahead, briefly.
Yeah, so that was based on the actuals, from years past, right? Like we may have budgeted differently, but in the end, we ended up adding some publications, expanding, doing a little bit more here and there. So that was based on our actuals from years prior. And that was majority print, and then the banner ads. And so, for example, if we did something in the Sentinel, we did it in print and online. And so that's what that was based on.
Okay, because again, I really rethought a lot of this. And so personally, I don't really think that we should do an annual ad this year and spend that kind of money, whether it's print and digital, because I just don't know how many people are seeing that in this day and age. So quite frankly, what I would like to look at is have an Earth Month type of series of things and partner up with some other organizations and agencies in our area and put the money into something like that. That's would be my thing, because I think it's great we put this fancy ad together and it's all color and it's very self-promotional in some ways, right? But I just feel to myself, I can't see spending up to $50,000 on something like that when that money could be much better spent on some programming. And especially we don't have to lead the charge, we can partner up. So if some cities are doing some things, maybe we're a partner with them. Or, we can put more money into some of our other rebates or something, but I don't have the appetite to do the ad this year. That's my.
So, and again, it's good to rethink things. Always have to do the status quo. It's a chance to try new things or, even just stream over it. We've got a lot going on. And so I appreciate just the acknowledgement that maybe it's not as effective as, we'd like to, or just an opportunity to explore new things. So thank you for that. In regards to partnerships, if you have any ideas, I can think of a lot, but if you have any, organizations or examples that come to mind so that we can think on it and see what's out there.
Sure. No, I actually don't at this moment. I just think if we said, okay, let's just not do, if the board, the board has to agree on this, but if we said, let's not do an ad, but let's put the resources into something else, then yes, we'd have to identify some partners, but let's just suppose, like actually Director Williams said, there's a number of events and functions going on probably in most every city that we serve. we could utilize some of that money in their budget, or, you know, partnering up with them, that could be better spent and still get our message out. But I think it'd be more effective personally. So, and I do think we could probably, if we go down this path, we could probably find maybe it's a couple nonprofits or maybe a school district. Everyone's doing something. I just feel like it would be more effective and bang for the buck, quite frankly. I just can't see spending that kind of money on ads that, you know, it's looked at once, especially in those weekly papers. And I know I was a big advocate of doing that in the past, especially community newspapers. But now we see where we're getting a lot of our audience, social media and other places. And I think that we should look at that in a different way. So again, first you got to get the board's buy-in that this is an option. And maybe you have a very small advertising budget coming out of all this, but I would like to see us do something different and make it more of, hey, it's Earth Month.
And if I may just, you know, again, this is something we'll come back as a team on. We'll work with the office of the general manager. I know there'll be further discussion in February regarding this item that will most likely advance to discuss there. But yeah, no, certainly. I mean, I think when you see Gerald's update on community engagement and outreach, we'll see that there are, you know, definitely opportunities. We can rethink, you know, even our presence and our booths and what we provide, and, you know, at the existing outreach, if there needs to be areas where we find that we're light in a particular portion of our service area, maybe that's where we develop partnerships just to have some balance. So I think there's a lot, you know, that we could do with that. And so I think I have enough a little bit, you know, again, for the full board direction will provide that as well. But no, thank you for the insights. And if there's, you know, I think we had a lot of conversation in the prior items as well that I've been noting as well.
I have a thought. May I speak? Mr. Chair?
Of course, Director Deere, you have the floor.
Well, I think the service clubs are always looking for a program. And I know years ago I invited a West Basin speaker to the Kiwanis Club in Gardena, and more recently to the Lions Club in Gardena. But there's also Optimus clubs, Rotary clubs, service clubs that are throughout the entire area that are looking for programs. What we need to do perhaps is more aggressively contact them to see if they'd like to hear from us and present a program that would be of interest to the people.
Very good. I agree with what has been said, and I would just add that whatever we do, we can't do it once. Whatever message we're getting out there, we can't do it once. We got to get in the mindset that it's guerrilla marketing. You got to do it over and over and hit them with the same thing. I mean, that's basic marketing. No one's going to remember what we said. Get in their face. Hey, here we are. This is what we have for you. You know, so I don't do marketing. I don't know how to do that stuff. I'm not a salesperson, but we got a lot of experts here, and we need your expertise in giving us advice as how we should do this. But I know that we got to do it more than once. And there are a lot of like Director Deere just mentioned, service clubs. Don't forget them. You know, because they are there where we want to be, but we can afford what it costs to be there. But we have a lot for our residents, for our constituents, that they've already paid for, and they're passing it up because they don't know. So we need to do that. So you got to remember, you got to hit them more than once. One time is not enough.
Just as, because again, when I seriously looked at it, I was like, wow, we spent up to potentially $50,000 in advertising, you know, maybe last year, year before, you know, whatever. And we're looking at that, I'm like, you know what, even if we do need to pay a nominal fee in some ways to have a booth at one of these, because there's going to probably be a lot of, I would assume there's going to be a lot of fairs or activities, environmental fairs, et cetera. Most of the cities now have an environmental commission or committee. I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to have a booth, or the COG to have a booth, or we can hit everywhere, but $50,000 could be spent in such a better way in my mind, or put it into something that we're, like, what are we giving out at that event? Or yes, we have these other rebates, you know, so I'd like us to rethink what we're doing. But again, it's just my own opinion. I look forward to the board talking about that, but I'm glad we got to this point. Before we go off, starting to draw an ad, create an ad, let's look at some other options.
I was always told that marketing is better than advertising. We need to look at that. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm never-
Advertising is a portion of marketing, but to the extent we can use earned and outreach and free methods, and, you know, and I think there's a time and place for paid. And I think that'll be, you know, when we have a really targeted segment we're going after.
Of course, I'm not saying get rid of advertising. Cannot survive without
We've got a
advertising.
lot of tools in the toolbox, and let's explore some of these outreach ones. So I hear you. Thank you.
All right. Much time we've been here a little while, so I think we're down to the end.
Two items remaining here. So we have our community engagement update, item C, with our public information specialist, Daryl Ramos Young, prepared to provide today's report. Chair.
Thank you, Greg, and good afternoon, Chairperson Williams and Director in person and online. It's my pleasure to provide this quarterly community engagement report of outreach efforts conducted from this last October 2022 through January to 2023, with a couple of recent February functions thrown in for good measure. Since the subject matter is so dear and close to all of our hearts, community outreach, or as I like to frame it as community education. Letting the community be informed about our water supply, what they can do to be good stewards of our water supply, and how they can join the West Basin's effort in wise water management for our region. So on packet page 138, you can review the 18 outreach events that were conducted during this period. This includes, because in sequential order by date, I just want to point out that for this period, we conducted 3 drought update presentations, including Director Houston's October 4th City of El Segundo drought update, and then most recently our January 28th Carson's Women Club drought update that was conducted by Director Williams. It included 4 water industry career presentations and or tours, and that included, you can see number 6 is the Los Angeles Trade and Technical College. We every semester conduct a tour for their process technology students, introducing them to the careers that are available in water. And most recently, Director Houston conducted a Malibu Youth Commission presentation, sharing his own pathway into civic leadership for our agency. Nice goal for those young adults. It also included 4 recycled water public tours from industrial professionals from Korea to the House of British Peninsula 4-H Club, and most recently, the Sierra Club. They had their legislative to see what kind of innovative water treatment technologies we're doing at the plant. Is attending one very popular community event, Taste of Soul, on October 15th, where we were engaged with hundreds of event participants. And the last one, we executed one signature West Basin event, most recently the board installation ceremony this past Monday.
Before you move on, Mr. Chair, really fast, sure. So now most of these, I don't believe cost us a penny as far as being a part of it, except for example, Taste of Soul though, right? Taste of Soul, we paid sponsorship to have a booth there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, and I'm not saying good or bad on any of that. I'm just showing that we know this. There are places that we get in front of because sometimes, yes, we have a sponsorship that includes a booth. And so that's part of all of this. And then, yes, a lot of these others are, you know, there's not cost involved us giving any money directly, but we're hosting our staff time, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess that's a good point to be made that, you know, this includes the sponsorships programs as well, when we have an opportunity to be there. And so it's not just like they just invite us to come down. But we do touch a lot of people because we're present.
Correct. And so staffing community outreach booths at different festivals and community events is one tool, as well as our other tools, which is conducting speakers presentations, tours. It's all part of our communications palette, of informing our constituents what we do as an agency and really how to give them the knowledge about their water sources and empower them with the free devices so they can make a difference in it.
I agree with you. I think, and Director Linda, him and I are on the same page that that's sometimes just part of it. I mean, there's a number of, even now we got some sponsorship opportunities coming up that will include a booth.
Yes.
And there's other things that, quite honestly, they do not let us be present if we're not a paying participant. I mean, sadly. So, I think we understand that, and we appreciate staff once we've made a commitment to be a sponsor and it entails a booth that you all are out there or COG, whomever, but it's just something to be noted that that's a part of our outreach.
Yeah, and I think that's where all of us understanding that community outreach through a booth is just one of the tools that's available to us. We take closer consideration as to the effectiveness depends on the venue and the attendee numbers. Sometimes it can be as little as 20 for a 2-hour event, or it can be a couple hundred. I think that the effectiveness of the booth has shifted over time, where it has been in the past. I hazard to compare to a shark feeding frenzy for free giveaway items at the table to more of an educational experience where in order to win our more focused water conservation devices or more, intentional giveaway items that really empower people to make a difference. That prize, it has to be won by engaging with the staff person, by understanding what the water conservation concept is. We don't have a prize wheel anymore. It is a plant matching game with succulents, fake succulents. So they have to, if you match one, put a garden hose nozzle on a hose with another garden hose nozzle hose label under the plant pots, it's like, then you're a winner. But if you get one garden hose nozzle compared to remove the turf, you don't win. It's not a match. So it's like, oh, sorry, but at least you learned something. And that also allows us to have more control over our budget per cloud material, so we can get more higher or more expensive items that are really intentional way to people have to make a difference in the neighborhood when they take that device home. So it's a lot more engaging.
And can I just add, I know we're pushing up on 2 hours now, but I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the role that Daryl has increasingly played. He has come more to the outreach side, the community public education side, and he's really escalated our booth experience to bring his, dynamic personality, his, gamification of things that he's used to with the kids to a general public audience. So that, again, and using his judgment to decide, hey, you know what, this actually, we might want to get more eyeballs with an ad than we would at a booth, or using that judgment to work with the board secretary or the administrative staff to make sure that we're really, getting the most bang for our buck. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you, Carol.
Thank you. And the staffing community outreach booths are wonderful to put a face onto the agency, but again, it's limited by the number of people that attend. So that partnered with social media outreach or speakers bureau presentations. I mean, it's all part of an intentional strategy that, okay, we have to move forward. And that's what we appreciate your comments regarding the annual ad campaign. Taking that into consideration, let me just launch into the next slide, which is upcoming community engagement opportunities for the next period, the next quarter. The incomplete list on packet page 139, because lots of the planning logistics are still taking place with the inquiring parties. The official launch of West Basin's Water Lab community education programs, like Melissa had mentioned, is taking place. The first Saturday public water recycled water tours taking place on February 18th, and that'll be followed in March by the first Know Your H2O class entitled Maximizing Water Efficiency and Conservation in Your Garden. So we're switching up the classes. Instead of having the same water content each time during the year, we'll have 4 sessions with a subject matter expert instead, providing more rich and potential opportunity for people to come back repeatedly and delve deeper into the water issues here in Southern California and empower them to be fully understanding of water in their home. As far as construction outreach that's coming along, our engineering team will be recommending to the board for your approval who that contractor is. That's going to be undertaking the construction of the Palos Verdes recycled water pipeline. So we're waiting for that contractor to come on board so we can actually start implementing our construction. We're continuing our planning with the city staff leadership. And once we learn from them, the recommendations of how to move forward with the city council or the commissions, will be notifying you, Director Williams, and Director Alvarez as far as any engagement that you need on your part. As far as coordination for Earth Month in April, appreciate that the board is and the committee is already thinking about that. Staff is already planning ahead of time. We are monitoring all the calendars. We have our contacts within our networks to tell us when the different organizations and cities have finalized their plans. It's still too early because they're still finalizing their plans and their dates. So as soon as we have a compiled list, we'll be determining what our strategy is moving forward. Whether at these community events, it's going to be providing the organization with our materials, sending the HOG out there to represent us, or there are really large events that are strategically beneficial for us to be there. Yes, staff will be attending those festivals with our education out there. So those plans are underway. And then the last thing that we will be doing for certain on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd, is we do have a Saturday public water recycling tour already scheduled. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about this, hopefully short report.
Just one question, Daryl, you have on here, and you mentioned it. So the Palos Verdes Recycle Water Pipeline Project outreach. So we haven't yet hired the contractor, or we did. I thought we did, but unless I missed something.
This is the contractor for the actual construction. We already have our outreach.
That's
good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. The outreach
Yeah, we've been
contractor's
planning
on
for a
board.
year.
It's the other one.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alrighty. Director Deere,
Yes,
comments?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no questions. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you. Okay, staff. I have no questions, just comments. Keep up the good work. Sounds good to me. All right.
Okay, well, that brings us to Tammy Hurley High, who will give us an update on our water bottle filling station program for February 2023. So please, Tammy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, directors. So update today on the water bottle filling station program. These slides, they begin on page 143 of the committee packet. So we're taking a look at the fiscal year 2020, 2021 application. And we have we had two that still needed to be installed, and that was at the Culver City Unified School District. We did find out that Linwood Howe, they did install their unit, so that was good news. And then regarding the La Bayona School, they've indicated some challenges on their end regarding getting powered. And they have an electrician scheduled to go visit that site in the area. So we should have a better idea about what their plans will be for installing the water bottle filling station within the coming weeks. If we can go to the next slide, please. So for the application from 2021, 2022, the Los Angeles Unified School District, they are planning to have installation completed by next month for the 3 of their schools. And for the city of Redondo Beach, they have been experiencing supply chain issues for the vendor they selected and the type of unit that they have ordered. We will continue to monitor that. And then for the El Segundo Middle School, We did have to reissue them a check. I think I've mentioned this before. They did receive it. And so the status of that location is still pending. So I'm just following up with them to find out what their schedules are. And hopefully I should have more information for you on that next month. And then regarding the units for the city of Gardena, we have processed and mailed their award check last month. Move to the next slide, please. And for the fiscal year 2022-23 applications, for Formosa Beach, we have submitted their award check in last month, so they have that. And we have some good news that we see some units that have already been installed. So the Manhattan Beach Unified School District, they have completed installation of their outdoor water bottle filling station next to the swimming pool. They did that right before the winter break. And then for the city of Gardena, the Raleigh Park location, staff is preparing an award letter and check that will be sent to them this month. Environmental Charter High School in Gardena, they have installed both of their units at the high school location. So we are, for the ones that are installed, we are working on the signage for these units, getting their logos and getting that produced, and we will send that to them and then follow up on, of course, the photo opportunities. If we can go to the next slide, please. So here we have a completed photo opportunity. This is at the Culver City Unified School District. This filling station is located at their high school, and the extra photos include West Basin Demonstration Garden, which you folks have talked about earlier. And as you had mentioned, Director Houston, we had the opportunity to walk by because it's very close, and so that the status of that as well. But included in the water bottle filling station photo from left to right is the board vice president, Dr. Kelly Kent, the board president, Miss Paula Amazola, Director Houston, and assistant principal Oscar Rodriguez. If we go to the next slide, please. And this slide indicates the agencies in which we're coordinating photo opportunities for, and we will continue to keep the directors updated as more information becomes available for these locations. Go to the next slide, please. This is the final slide. This is the program budget, and it reflects all of the applications that we have received. So far, we've received applications for agencies that are located in divisions 3 and 5. There's still plenty of opportunity available to receive more applications. So that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Director Houston.
No questions right now. I'm good. Thank you.
Director Deere,
No questions. Thank you.
great job. Thank you. All right, that takes us to the next issue, next item.
Okay, well, that takes us to closed session, which there isn't a closed session. We don't have any closed session items. So perhaps that'll take us to item 8, director's comments and future agenda items.
Thank you. Director's comments, Director Deere.
Yes, it seems to me that the conservation staff, like our financial staff, continues to do a superb job. They should keep up the good work. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Director Houston.
I just want to say it was a really good discussion today and all the reports, and hopefully we gave you some good feedback. Look at some things in a different way. So I'm very excited. Yes, I'm excited actually about Earth Month and about some things we've got coming up. And I'm excited that we have, yes, Metropolitan looking at what they're doing to get that message out that this drought is not over. And yes, the limits of great precipitation and so on and so forth. So we do have our work cut out for us, but there's nothing we can't handle. So all that being said, I'm very happy with the discussions we had today and looking forward to some great ideas coming back for us to consider.
Thank you, Director Houston. I want to ditto what he just said, and I want to add that I want to see us involved in every city's Earth Day program. Don't let a single one slip past us. We need to be there. And I hope we have the list of things to do, Mr. General Manager.
Yes, sir.
Righty. With that, we are adjourned.
Thank you. Goodbye.